Hey people of VC, it's Andy Cloudy Mulder back with an 80s vinyl collection update. I've got, I think I've got 7 albums to show you today. These came into my possession over a number of months. I've said before, I've kind of got an inbox. I throw things in when I've listened to them enough. I'll show them on this part of my channel, and then they can go on the shelf, and I can free up some room for some more records. So let's start off. First band, Crimson Glory, Transcendence. I always want to say Transcendence. This is 1988 on Road Runner Records. It's a US pressing. I actually got this as a VCRT from Greg the Egg, Backball Rules, quite a long time ago now. Not in the recent video that I showed but in a previous package that Greg has sent me. It's been up on the shelf, but it hasn't been sitting there. It has got played a lot. This is a superb album. It's Crimson Glory's second album. It's the only album I've heard of theirs, but this is supposedly the best, and the other albums would have to absolutely be exceptional to be better than this one. At times it sounds like kind of European power metal. There's high guitars, and maybe it's a little bit progressive as well. But yeah, categorization aside, it's a great album. Actually, a band that it reminds me of is a band that's actually a more recent band. So I've said many times before about Ram are one of my favorite modern metal bands, and the thing I liked about them was I thought they sounded just a little bit different from all the other new wave bands. They're not really in the Iron Maiden or Priest or Thin Lizzy category, and to me they sounded a bit original, but not so much after listening to this. I certainly feel that Ram may have got some influence from the likes of Crimson Glory, and all hail to them for that. Crimson Glory have a little bit of a gimmick going on. I don't know how well you can see here, but they're all wearing silver masks, the band members there. Doesn't come out too well because it's a black and white photo, but apparently they started off wearing full face masks, but they were literally dying in of heat exhaustion in concert, so they kind of cut it down to be a little more Phantom of the Opera when they realised how hot they were. But the inner for this is in great condition with the lyrics, obviously the band photos and thank yous. So this is 88 on the Road Racer label. Nothing fancy, but a classic label nonetheless. Next up, Hellion, female-fronted metal from the early 80s. So this is their self-titled EP from 1983. This is on Music for Nations. It's a UK pressing, obviously. More 6 tracks, so more of an EP than a 12-inch single. Anne Boleyn on vocals, but she's got, if you've not heard them, she's really got quite a gravelly, raw style. So you could probably, I probably did mistake her for male vocals originally until I found out. But the US pressing for this only had 4 tracks, I believe. This has Break the Spell, Don't Take No, Backstabber, Looking for a Good Time, Driving Hard, and Up from the Depths. It would be 4 years before Hellion released an album. I think they got various legal ramblings. Anne Boleyn was fired from her own band and then had to go through some sort of legal battle to get the name back. And I think by the time they released an album, they'd missed the heavy metal boat by 87. So it didn't go so well for them. I say straight up heavy metal, rough, ready, sort of new wave style at the time, but an excellent little EP to have. So it's on the standard Music for Nations label. Sounds great. Next up, some Judas Priest. Want some Judas Priest? What about some Priest live? stoked to find a copy of this in my local record shop, and it's in excellent condition, apart from the bullet hole in the top left. And it's a US pressing as well, which always surprises me when I see US pressings in the shops here. Took me a while to figure out what edition it was. It looks like I looked at the catalog code on Discogs, and I don't know if it's a reissue, but the barcode and the catalog number have all been covered up with a sticker. But yeah, I found out it was a 1987 CBS US pressing. This was in support of the Turbo tour, and I really like Turbo as an album. I know it doesn't get a lot of love, but it just reminds me from the time it came out, and I was into heavy metal, and I really like Turbo and Ram It Down from Judas Priest. I think they're great for what they were in the 80s, and lots of bands were going down more the synthy style. But I think they did it really well. So this is recorded in, oh, I've got the images as well here. So there's a minute. This was recorded in I think Georgia and Dallas, Texas in 1986. Killer cover on the gatefold. Yeah, Judas Priest, as I say, excellent condition. Only the bullet hole the only issue I have with the cover, and the record itself sounds superb. Obviously this would be on CBS if it being a UK pressing, but it's on the red Columbia label for the US, and probably going to upset a few of you now, but I actually prefer that to Unleashed in the East. So there. Okay, if you're still watching, next up was a charity shop find. Now, people normally associate charity shops with, I guess, like thrift stores in the US with really cheap finds. I've mentioned the Oxfam music shop that we have in Edinburgh. It's in a town called Stockbridge. Many times before, and I found some great stuff in there. Not much. Usually I'll go in there and I could dig through every record and maybe find one thing that I'll pick up. And but they know this stuff. I mean, it's if it's a rare album, you'll pay for it. They don't tend to have any of the really cheap stuff. There are other charity shops on that street, and I think they let them have the garbage and they hoover up all the good stuff. But I did find this, and it was a blind buy, but I realized from and this is a killer cover. Realized from the cover and obviously the picture at the back that I'd unearthed a nice piece of metal history here. So I bought it. It cost me £8, so it's not it wasn't a cheap buy, but I did a quick look on Discogs and realized that £8 was a very, very good price for this album. It's thrash metal. It's a Swedish thrash metal band. They are, you can tell it's thrash metal because there's the thrash metal collage. They're a one and done band. This was their only release. It's excellent. I really, really like it. It's on the Under One Flag label. It's a UK pressing. It's a Swedish band. In the vein of Dark Angel and Testament, without sounding exactly like either of them. But yeah, I was stoked to find that. It's good when a blind buy pays off, and it's something that's going to be a sound investment. Not that I buy things to sell. I've never sold a record. Next up, I have some more historic VCLT that I got from Greg. When I first saw this album, I thought it was one of the joke albums that Greg had said. But again, I listened to it, and it's kind of okay. It's not great. But I did a little bit of digging into it, and because I didn't know who Frank Soda was. This is Frank Soda and the Imps. So this is from 1980, and it's on Quality Records, and it's a Canadian pressing. Looks probably as far from like a metal or hard rock album as you can get, other than I guess he's got a guitar and horns. But Frank Soda was the label. Frank Soda was a founding member of Thor. He left the band before they released an album, I think. So Thor was signed up to pursue an acting career, and Frank Soda didn't want to put the band on hold. So Thor put the band on hiatus. Frank Soda went off and formed Frank Soda and the Imps. In fact, I think Thor was originally called Thor and the Imps when they first started out. And yeah, they ended up doing another one and done release. And as I say, it's a hit and miss collection of songs that crosses sort of hard rock, pop, rock and roll. One of the songs even has a little bit of a reggae thing going on. But there's a couple of very catchy songs in here. No Talk, All Action, the first song that kicks off the album, and Take My Picture Please. Very, very catchy, enjoyable songs. I think Frank Soda is back with Thor again since they've reformed, and he's touring with them at the moment. Next up, how are we doing for time? Okay. Again, very, very stoked to find this one out in the wild. I usually kind of expect, if I wanted to get an album like Onslaught's The Force, I'd probably have to look online, but this was in Vinyl Villains. Again, it wasn't cheap. I mean, if you saw the video I did for Mike Allen's competition, you know I don't spend that much on vinyl. It was nowhere near the most expensive record I've bought. Yeah, been looking for a copy of this for a while. So this is Onslaught's second album, The Force. It's 1986 on Under One Flag record label. It's UK pressing. If you don't know Onslaught, they're an English speed thrash metal band. This album is probably more thrash. This is the second album, and there were lineup changes galore from the first album. On here, they're a 5-piece as opposed to a 4-piece as they were on the first album. So we have Cy Keeler. Where has he gone? Cy Keeler here. He came in on vocals, which meant that Paul Maloney, who was on vocals on the previous album, he moved on to bass guitar, and then Jason Stallard, who was on bass, then moved on and became the the rhythm guitarist, the second guitarist role in the band, to keep up to a 5-piece. So only Nigel Rocket and Steve Grease, the guys that kept their sound position in the bands. Nige, what a metal name. He's the main music and lyric writer for Onslaught, certainly at the time. It's a really tight album, killer tracks, Metal Forces, Fight with a Beast, Flame of the Antichrist, Thrash Till Death. Absolutely superb stuff. Much more thrashy than In Search of Sanity, which is my intro to Onslaught, and has Steve Grimmett on vocals. But this is a killer album to have. As I say, superb condition it was as well. Again, your thrash metal collage, although quite a basic one here. They haven't really spent a lot of that time and effort on that one, which is a bit disappointing. And the lyrics: Onslaught, The Force, 1986. Flag number 1, so that must be the first album on Under One Flag, maybe. I guess makes sense. And again, Under One Flag for completeness. Last one, but not least, Kingdom Come, In Your Face, 1989, Polygram UK. You know what? I bet Lenny and the boys still get together and have a good laugh about this and how they got away with such a ridiculous name for the album. But so their second album. I think they've lost a bit of that Led Zeppelin sound that they were tagged with in the after the first album. Much more sort of hard rock and commercial metal sound, without sounding glam. Maybe on the edges of being more of a glam band. I mean, they certainly got the hairdos for it, but it's a very solid album. And again, superb condition. Killer live stadium shot there, and the lyrics as well, all in lovely pristine condition. That's on the Polydor label. I said 7, didn't I? Let's do 8. I've got one more. Let's end on a compilation, especially as it's a Music for Nations compilation. So this is the Music for Nations singles album, 100 minutes of the best in heavy metal. I think this is from 1986 or 87, but look at the lineup on here. There we go. So we've got Rogue Male, Wasted, Legs Diamond, Loudness, Metallica, Wendy O. Williams, Wasp, Exciter, Tank, Virgin Steel, Merciful Fate, and some more obscure ones as well. So there's yeah, double album. I don't know if you can see or read that, so a glare. But yeah, full lineup of bands. It's a great compilation. A real mixture between kind of heavy metal, hard rock, AOR, some of the bands on here, but excellent stuff. I think there was nice lineup of bands. And a little bit of a history of Music for Nations, which is a pretty good read actually. There we go. And more of the Music for Nations catalogue, of which my collection is growing. Yeah, some interesting ones on here. Some of them maybe stick out. Bands like Rio and Baby Taku. In Alaska, I don't know so much about, but you know, when you've got Rogue Male, Q5, Metallica, there's a couple of Metallica tracks actually. Jump in the Fire and Creep in Death are on here. Wasp Animal is on here, which is, I guess, unusual. But yeah, absolute killer stuff. I do love a metal comp. One of these days, I'm going to have to do a video of my metal comps, because I've got a few now, and they're great fun. Great way to even now pick up on bands that I missed out in the 80s in the first place. So okay, that's your lot. The next few I think I'm going to do in my 80s metal series are going to be more. They're going to be like collection videos or subsets of collections. I've just over time and through no particular plan, I've picked up a few Japanese metal albums. I've picked up a few girls' school albums, so I might do a video just on those by themselves. And if I can sort of spot any of the, excuse me, any other themes going on in records I've purchased, I may do separate videos like that. But yeah, thanks for watching, and subscribe if you haven't and you want to see more of this this nonsense, and I will be back again in another video very soon, no doubt. Thanks for watching. Bye now.